Welcome to Portable Classroom Max program. Passive voice. Today we're going to talk about using the passive voice in different tenses. We're going to talk about how to use the passive voice in simple tenses first. There are three simple tenses: simple present, simple past, and simple future. In the following demonstrations, we're going to talk about the using of the passive voice in three different simple tenses individually. Before we go on, first, we know that in English there are two different types of voices, active and passive. When we use the active voice, we want to know what the subject does. When we use the passive voice, we want to know what happens to the subject. And just like the last time we talked about the passive voice, there are three situations that we have to use, that we can use actually, the passive voice. We use the passive voice, number one, when we want to stress what happens to the subject. Number two, who or what causes the action is often unknown or unimportant. Number three, if we want to say who does or what causes the action, we use by with an object, like this example. This house is built by my grandfather. It actually means my grandfather builds this house in active voice. So now we're going to go on and we're going to talk about using the passive voice in three simple tenses. Okay, first, let's talk about using the passive voice in the simple present tense. We know the form of the passive voice. We have to use the be verb with verb past participle. In the simple present tense, the be verbs are is, am, and are. So the form of using the passive voice in the simple present tense is, am, are with verb past participle. Let's look at the first example. Someone cleans the house. Someone cleans the room every day. You can see that the someone is not important. I'm more eager to know, is the room cleaned every day? So how do we rewrite this sentence in active voice into a sentence of passive voice? Easy. First we find the verb, because finding the verb actually helps us to identify the location of the subject and the object. So we know someone is the subject and the object is the room. So we move the object to the front of the sentence, the room, because we want to know what happens to it. Okay, and then we do something to the verb. The room goes with the be verb is. So the room is, the verb past participle of clean is cleaned. It's a regular verb. So the room is cleaned. You can say by someone, or you can just leave this part out completely because that is not important. Every day. The room is cleaned by someone every day. So you know that the someone, whoever cleans the room, is not important. What's important is the room is cleaned every day. Example number two. The company employs 100 people. The same. Locate the verb. This is, the company is the subject. 100 people is the object. We move the object to the front because we want to know what happened to this 100 people. So 100 people, we use are with 100 people. Are, past participle employee is employed. Regular verb. So 100 people are employed by the company. Okay. 100 people are employed by the company. This is the passive voice. Now we finish with the simple present tense. We move on to the simple past tense. Easy. In the simple past tense, instead of using is, am, are with verb past participle, we use was or were with verb past participle. So let's look at the first example. Someone stole a lot of money in the robbery. We know that whoever stole the money is unknown. We don't know who they were. So what's important was that the money was stolen. So locate the verb stole. This is the object and we move it to the front. A lot of money. Now a lot of money, uncountable, so we must use was. The verb past participle of stole, steal, stole, and stolen. So stolen. A lot of money was stolen. You can say by someone, but that piece of information is really not important. in the robbery. You can simply say a lot of money was stolen in the robbery because that someone is unknown to us and it's not important. Example number 2, my grandfather built the house in 1984. Again, locate the verb. You can see the house is actually the object. So we move it to the front because we want to know what happened to it. The house, again, is a singular noun. We use was. Verb past participle of built, build, built, built. Was built. You can say by my grandfather or not. In 1984. The house was built by my grandfather in 1984. Example number 3. Someone robbed Miss Flowers during the early morning hours. Again, someone, whoever robbed Miss Flower is unknown to us. So we use the passive voice. Locate the verb. This is the object. Move the object to the front. Miss Flowers. And then it's a person. So was. Rob, regular verb. So verb past participle is still robbed. Miss Flower was robbed. You can leave this information out completely by someone or without by someone during the early morning hours. Miss Flowers was robbed during the early morning hours. Now, the simple future tense, pretty easy too. In present tense, we use is MR for the be verb. Past tense, use was were for the be verb. The future tense, the be verb will be. So we use will be, or in Old English, we can say shall be, but we will just focus on using will be with verb past participle. That is it. We will focus on using will be. So look at because this is the be verb of the future tense. Look at the first example. People will speak English in this conference. Again, this is the verb, will speak. And then English is the language that is about to be spoken. So we move this to the front. English, be verb of future tense, will be, speak, spoke, spoken. English will be spoken. You can say by people or without by people, because only people can speak English. That's not really important. At this conference. English will be spoken at this conference. Example number 2. Peter's mother will punish him when he comes home. Again, locate the verb, will punish. Who is going to be punished? Peter. So move Peter to the front, but we cannot write he because we do not know who he is. We have to write down his name. Peter. What will happen to him? Will be the be verb of future tense. Punished, verb pp, regular verb, so with ed at the end. Punished. So Peter will be punished by who? By no other people but his own mother. By his mother when he comes home. Peter will be punished by his mother when he comes home. Example number 3. Someone is going to build a new supermarket over here next year. So we know someone is going to build a house, but who is going to do that? Not important. We use will. So a new supermarket, you can locate the verb. New supermarket, move it to the front. This is the object of the active sentence. So a new supermarket will be. Now build, built. Verb past participle of built. A new supermarket will be built. You can leave this piece of information out completely. With or without by someone is okay. Over here next year. So a new supermarket will be built over here next year. So just remember how to use the passive voice with the simple tenses. And then next time we will go on with using the passive voice with different tenses. But first, let's go back to our lesson plan. You can see there are a lot of examples. You can study them and see how you actually use the passive voice with different tenses. Now here is a reminder. We must make sure that the patterns of the tenses are set. Then we set the patterns of the passive voices. It means that we have to first satisfy the form of the tenses, like the form of the present tense, past tense, and future tense, and then we put the passive voice into it. That's how we work. Okay, for more information, please check out www.theportableclassroom.blogspot.tw. Thank you for watching this.